Good morning, friends, and welcome to your virtual art class. Today, I want to first of all introduce you to a new friend of ours, Antonio Escargo.
Hello, friends. How are you today? I'm very good. I am very colorful. Look at myself. I am loving to make art. Anyway,
Antonio, what are we going to do today?
we are going to make maps. We are going to use lots of lines, like my slime trail in the back. We are going to make the maps.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yes, I know. You started up.
Yeah, I did. Anyway, so friends, today we are going to make maps. We are going to look at old maps. We're going to look at treasure maps. And like Antonio said, he can make maps with his slime trail that he leaves when he is moving along. Anyway, let's get started. First of all, by saying our mantra. All right, here we go. I am an artist. I create with my hands. I create with my heart. I create with my head. I can create anything. All right, so let's go.
Yay!
All right, so I want to share my screen with you, and so you can see I have something that I want to show you, some examples of maps. And here we go. There he is. All right. All right-a-roni. So, friends, maps are so cool. They're one of my favorite things. This is an old map of the country of Iceland. And this map is hundreds and hundreds of years old. This is just an example of it. But if you look really close, you can see all these different details. And if you look, they have all of these kind of mythical creatures here. And that's because they didn't really know what was out in the ocean, right? A long, 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 long time ago, people didn't have what we have today to go exploring under the water. So they were unsure of what was living out there. So you can see all of these kind of fun and a little bit scary mythical creatures. I'm guessing that these pointy things, they're probably mountains, right? And maybe these, because they're coming from the water, these squiggly blue lines, those are, I believe, rivers with lakes. And so they use all these different kinds of lines to show us different parts of the map or where things are. Let's look at the next map. Friends, this is an old treasure map, all right? And I'm not sure where it's from, but you can see once again, we have all of these kind of mythical creatures that are lurking out in the water, right? And if you look, we know it's the water because of the lines that were created here with these kind of like mountainy, swirly lines. And then this is the outline, this really thick line is the outline of the island. And then once again, they are showing us all these different parts of the island, kind of like landmarks, so that as you're following the map to the buried treasure, there are all these different landmarks that you can look out for that will help you find your way till you get to the treasure. So once again, they've used all different kinds of lines and little pictures to show us the way. Here's another. This one is much more detailed. This one is definitely a pirate map. Beware all ye who enter. So I think that this is not a real treasure map, but I think this one is one that someone created. And once again, you see all these little pictures here to show all these different landmarks. And if you follow the dotted line, lots of folks use a dotted line to show how to go on the map to find the treasure. So one of the things that I want you to focus on as you're creating your maps today is thinking about all the different kinds of lines that you can create, all right? Thinking about all those different lines you can create. And what I want you to do first is, in your sketchbook, we are going to create those lines, all right? Now, if you look back here, here's some student examples that were made to create treasure maps. So we know this one is an island. There's a little jellyfish here. Here's some kind of mythical fish. And again, they show us all these different landmarks of what you can see as you go along to find your treasure. Same with this one. All right. Well, let's get started, shall we? So I want you to get your sketchbook that you made earlier in the year, all right? And it could be on your next blank page. So you might have something on the first page, or you might not. And so use whatever blank page you have. So the first thing I want you to do is try to create as many different lines as you can. And you can use a marker for that. You can use a pencil for that. You can use crayons for that. You could even use watercolor if you have watercolor. So now here I'm making a dotted line. And then I'm thinking of the treasure maps that we've seen. And here's the dashed line. Oh, and now I'm thinking about that one that we saw. And I'm making kind of like the wave line. Let's see. Now, this is almost like a castle top. We could call this a castle top line. And I am just going to keep trying to make as many different lines as I can. And I'm also going to think of a little bit, what I'm going to think about is like maybe what kind of lines I would want to use to show things in my map. So maybe it's windy somewhere and I'm going to do these squirrely, swirly lines, all right? Maybe it's mountainous. So I'm going to do kind of a zigzaggy line. So in your sketchbook, I want you to try to create at least 10 to 15 different lines. And you might run out of space. And is that okay? Yeah, of course, that's okay. I'm going to make some diagonally lines here. Maybe it's grassy. Oh, I could use this for grass. Even though it's purple, I could still use it for some grass. Anyway, I'm going to keep making all of my different lines. Here's a really thick line. This could be the outline of my island if I was making a treasure map. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of keep going here, making as many lines as possible. Hello, and I forgot the most simple line, which is a straight one, right? Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need to make at least one more and up to as many more as I want, all right? So I'm going to put that aside. The next thing I have here in front of me, friends, is a paper bag, all right? Well, it used to be a paper bag. Now it's been cut, all right? I cut it down the middle and then I cut the bottom off. So now I have one big sheet of paper, all right? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to crumple it up because I really want it to look old and ancient. And that helps it do that, all right? I'm going to crumple it up one more time. And you can crumple it up as much as you want, but now this makes it kind of nice and soft and leathery. It's kind of cool how that happens. Now, if you don't have a brown paper bag, that is absolutely fine. You can use a piece of paper that you have around your house. Could you use a lined piece of paper? Absolutely. And if you have some tea, what you could do is you could brew some tea and you could paint your paper so that it looks a little bit older. Now, here is one that I started, all right? You can kind of see, you can't really see my drawing on there yet, but I kind of tore it to make it look a little bit more ancient. You could do that, or you could leave it big like this. It all depends on what you want to do. But if you do want to tear it, I'm going to tear this top part off because I don't really like it so much. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of carefully see how I'm just going a little bit at a time, all right, to make kind of an interesting edge. You don't want to just tear because you could end up tearing it in half. And then, well then I guess you could make two maps, but you want to be a little bit gentle with it. All right, so I did that to the top. And I think because this is kind of a straight edge over here, I want to take a little bit off. All right. And then maybe I'll take a little bit off down here too, just to make it look a little bit older. All right. So now I still have a nice big piece of paper and I'm ready to go. Now I am going to draw with a magic marker. All right, but you might want to draw with a pencil first, okay? And what I'm going to do is I am going to create kind of like an island. Now, I want my map part to take up most of my paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that fairly big. And I'm just going to make some imaginary land here. So I'm going to just take my brown marker. Oh, it's a little bit running out, isn't it? And that's okay. There's a big inlet there. And then, all right. So there's my map of my island. Well, there's my island on my map. All right. Now, in order to like make, kind of a cool treasure map, I always like to start on one end and have the treasure end up over on another end. Because if they're side by side, then you kind of miss this whole area over here to explore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I'm going to use my crayons because I like the way that looks on my paper. All right. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to know that this is water. So here's my second kind of line. So my first kind of line was this kind of thick brown outline of my island. All right. Now my second kind of line is going to be these waves that I find out in the water. And I'm just going to add as many as I think are necessary. And I'm just going to keep doing that all around to add some water. Now, in here, I might create some kind of mythical creature coming up from the depths of the ocean. So I'm going to take this red color here, and I'm going to make this big red fish kind of popping up from the ocean, just like that. And he's popping up, so I'm going to put this wave around him. And here's his eyeball. And I feel like he could probably swallow a ship. And I made him some kind of pointy teeth here. Right? So I'm going to make as many kind of mythical creatures as I can on the outside. All right? Now, I need to start thinking about my map. And I have one that I drew here that I want to show you that is a little bit different. And I'm just going to kind of outline it so you can see it a little bit better, because you can't really see it in pencil. So this is where my treasure is. So I have an X here. And I'll color that in another way. And so now I'm really using all my different kinds of lines. And then you have to go over these mountains. It kind of reminds me of the game of Candyland. After you go over these mountains, then you go into a valley that's like a big desert. And I have a palm tree here. Like that. And then you have to go into the big ocean and find underwater all of these things. And you just keep growing underwater. And then you come into cloudland. In cloudland, you know you're getting close to the treasure. Actually, you're not. You're actually returning home when you get to cloudland, because then you kind of see these puffs of smoke here, which is the dotted line. And I'm just going. And here is my house. Just like that. All right? And so I have outlined everything so you can really see it well. And here's my clouds, so you know you're in cloudland, just like that. Here's some raindrops, you better wear your rain jacket. All right, here's some snowflakes. Now, after I have all of that information on here, showing where my map is, then I can start adding details. Here's the sun for the desert, right? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm making a rainbow here that tells me this is where my treasure is. Now, it's just in black and white right now, or black and brown, but of course, I'm going to use either my markers or my crayons, or if I have watercolors, I'm going to use those to help show all of this really cool detail information. So you can see, friends, I have used a dotted line, I have used a zigzaggy line, I have used kind of a curvy line, I have used a wavy line, I've used a cloud line, and I have used a dotted line, all of those lines in my map to show where things are. I could have just used a dashed line, like in the other treasure maps, but I thought that would be really boring. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to color this with a variety of different things, and it's going to be amazing, all right? Just like as I got started with this one. Now let's say you decided you don't want to do a treasure map. Is that okay? Yes. You could also do a map of your backyard. Oh my gosh, how cool would that be? And you could pretend that you hid a treasure there, and maybe someone like Antonio could come and find it. So what do you think, Antonio?
I think it's great. Right.
All right, so you could also make a map for Antonio to try to find some lettuce.
I love lettuce.
That's great, Antonio. I'm glad you do. It's a good thing to eat.
Thank you.
All right, friends, let's end with a mindfulness activity, all right? So I want you to sit where you are. I want you to close your eyes, and I just want you to relax for a moment. I want you to take a big, deep breath in, and when we let it out, we're going to sound like a bee. All right, this is called a buzz breath. Are you ready? Deep breath in. Let's do it one more time. And let's try to make the buzz sound last as long as we can. Are you ready? Deep breath in. Sometimes that makes my mouth feel a little tickly, and it just helps me take my mind off anything that might be upsetting to me. So, just another thing you can use to make yourself feel at ease. Friends, I hope you have a wonderful day. I cannot wait to see you when we come back from fall break. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time, whatever you do. Maybe you'll find some buried treasure somewhere. Take care and be happy. Bye.